I believe this is going to be an Independence Day to remember. From an astrological perspective, it's very intense. There's a lot going on. So I'm going to try my best to break it down, what's going to happen in the next week and a half. So pay attention. And as always, my goal of looking at the stars is to see what's coming and how to move with it most effectively. Okay, so I'm going to start with Jupiter. I think that's the first large layer going on here. Jupiter has been in Cancer for the past year, and it is nearing the end of that cycle. Jupiter is expansive. You know, it's not like a straight line movement. It's a thing that grows and radiates in all directions. Jupiter is the body of abundance and blessing and faith. Sort of like that hopeful blind faith that has to do with divine justice, or maybe not divine justice, divine humor. It's a very spiritual body. Okay. It's philosophical in nature. It has to do with, because it is philosophical in nature, it has to do with our belief systems and, philosophies, study, that sort of thing. So, all of that, mostly what I would say is expansion, right? Jupiter has been in Cancer, and Cancer is the body of home. I think that's the main thing. It's highly intuitive, it's very emotional, it's sensitive, it's like the putting together of things that feel homey, you get what I'm saying? It's the Cancer that plans all the cute little things at the party and has wonderful little outfits and that kind of deal. So the past year, I think all of us to some degree or another have been growing and expanding in our belief system or our concept or philosophical connection with home. What is it? Where is it? Who is it? Right? Those types of concepts. And I can make an entire another video of what I learned specifically about that. I learned during that cycle that home is in my body, right? That, people and places and just structures shift outside of my body, but there's always this place that I can turn inwards and connect with me. Right? During this Jupiter in Cancer, I really learned about that concept of what is revitalizing, what is home-like within my own body, how do I nurture and ground myself, to the core of that, who am I? Those types of things. And it's been quite a good cycle, I believe. It was hard in parts of it, but overall I think the way that it ended up was good. And right now, Jupiter is sitting at the anaretic degree of Cancer. Now, the anaretic degree is sort of like the crux of the cycle. If you view every single sign as like a cycle that the planets move through, right? The very end, the 28th and 29th degree, is like the crux, the very end of it. If you were meant to learn something and you didn't, at that degree point, you're going to learn whatever it was, or even maybe not necessarily learn, but get that last slap of this is it. Do you get what I'm saying? And it can be an entirely positive thing, sometimes negative, sometimes both, but really what it is this big push to reevaluate what it was that you were supposed to take from that cycle. Oftentimes, all the time, it's referred to as, the shadow aspect, the shadow point, where you broach upon the shadowy aspects of the cycle. So, for example, the shadow aspects of Cancer would be it's highly emotional and in tune intuitively, right? A toxic or shadowy placement of Cancer would be sort of using those things as a form of manipulation. Toxic Cancer, shadow Cancer is very, very possessive, right? It embodies this concept of home, but sometimes perhaps maybe to the point of like obsessive possessiveness, right? What else about Cancer? Cancer is moody to begin with, right? On more of the negative end of the spectrum, but like the anoretic degree of Cancer would be sort of like volatile moodiness. So this is where on the world stage this will be quite intense, I think, because you have the body of like growth and expansion, boundless growth and expansion, sitting at like this really sensitive place of Cancer, shadowy even, right? And not only is it that, but it's sitting in opposition to Aquarius, or excuse me, sitting in opposition to Pluto and Aquarius, that's retrograding through Aquarius. And Pluto in Aquarius right now sort of has this energy of like fists in the air. You know, we're bringing death and rebirth to the concept of revolution, and it's sitting in opposition again to this like expansive moodiness of Cancer. Right, so it's like oppositions to me are almost like two things are like playing tug of war with each other. And so you have these very two potent things in a sensitive place pulling at each other, right? And that's started now, and then that will transition into, hold on, let me click a whole bunch. It will transition into like 4 days, like at the very end of June, so like, oh, this doesn't matter, I'm getting in the weeds too much. Dang it. I can't help it. Right till the end of June, I think June 29th. Okay, so that's the first layer. And I think it's important with Jupiter transits to remember that the way that you can utilize that energy the best is to lean into it, to grow into it, to be boundless and expansive in wherever it touches. And then, in that way, that is when the blessings will come to you, right? When you expand with it. So Jupiter has been in Cancer, right, and is now moving into Leo. And Leo is the professional ballerina who picks up a torch and leads a mob of people to like a higher consciousness, something better. A Leo does that. A Leo will put on the coconut bra and shimmy on the table, right? Leo's a performer, but also sort of like a leader of the pride. Will take people to a better place. The Leo is a person who holds a torch for something outside of themselves, usually. Leo embodies the idea of like childlike play, losing oneself in play, right? Leos will go with you to catch snakes and frogs in the night and play little games and I don't know what else, kick the can. Leos will play with you like a child. So I think this transit to come, the more that we can like lean into that playful childlike nature, the more blessings that we will receive. I know that sounds silly, but give it a whirl. Look to see where, like which house area Leo lies for you. For me, it is my second house. So, in theory, the more playful I am with my expression on the stage, perhaps the more material goods will come to me. That's what I'm hoping. I have no clue. But I'm also trying to embody the idea of blind faith, dumb hope that Jupiter brings, just trusting in sort of the energies of it all. We'll see. So that's the first layer that's going on, is the Jupiter's business. The next layer, let's go to the July 4th. The next layer that is super duper potent is Mars conjunct Uranus in Gemini. And this is again like just a couple days after the Saturn, or the Jupiter sitting at the anoretic degree of Cancer. And Mars conjunct Uranus is the god of war meets revolution meets the duality. which sounds pretty crazy, doesn't it, right? Mars is our action-oriented, warlike state, like what we bring into the world physically. It's like our, physical vitality. Uranus is again sort of like that energy of Aquarius that I mentioned before, where it's fists in the air, power to the people. Uranus energy is very shifty. It will completely switch you from the path that you were on and mix you up. And it can be very disorienting, and a lot of people dislike that because it is a wild card and you can never plan for it. Part of me loves it. It's good. It can be a really good thing, right? But the combination of those two is very potent. Okay? God of War meets Revolution, and it's in Gemini, which is the sign of the duality. There's a lot to say about Gemini, but again, it's very... it represents, like, the duality. And I would say that the first thing that I think of when I look at this configuration is that, like, we, as an American people, and perhaps in our own personal lives, kind of live in this state of push and pull between two forces. Right? We are in an intellectual civil war, and this configuration kind of speaks of bringing revolutionary action to that. And it just so happens to be on Independence Day. I don't know, like, what the heck? Happy birthday, America. So, and, like, looking at these energies, I like to make plans to figure out how to move with it, but this is so potent, Uranus, that it's almost like whatever you have planned will not go to plan. So maybe the idea is just to plan to not have a plan. Things are going to go awry, okay? So I don't know how to help you with that one. And I think what's interesting about this aspect as well is that it sits square to the nodal axis. Axis! I always mess that up. Axis. The nodal axis represents sort of our collective consciousness path. The south node is where we've been, the north node is where we're going. And this works as a collective, this works as an individual, right? So this Mars-Uranus business is square to where we're going. So it's almost like as if whatever you're doing in life where you feel like you have a direction and you're supposed to be moving there, like wherever you feel that is within your soul, right? This configuration on the 4th of July is sort of going to throw you off. It's like, it would be like, you have a compass that's pointing north and you're heading north in that direction, but all of a sudden it's like the compass gets mixed up and it's doing that weird spin thing. And it takes a second for it to reorganize and reorient. And it feels disorienting. That's kind of what I would describe this as. So, perhaps what I'm getting from this configuration is to, like, move slowly, anticipate that there's going to be the spinning of the compass, but just pause and be cautious and allow the needle to settle before you start moving again. And I think it's entirely possible that this configuration would throw a person off and, like, put you in a place that you didn't quite expect before. And so, like, returning northward or returning to where you're supposed to be heading might add extra or throw you for your loop. I don't know. But it is in that process of reorienting, I think, that, like, good insight comes. Uranus has a way of, like, switching it up, but you get something very, very useful out of it. Revolutionary! Oh, and I think Mercury's retrograde. I think it... so if you're traveling in during the 4th of July, just expect things to not go as entirely planned. Yeah. Mercury goes retrograde again at the same time that Jupiter transitions into Leo. So yeah. Good luck out there, you guys. I wish you the best.